Remember Hillary? She said deplorable. And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know. You have to please forgive him. Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said.
I'm sure that his comments will become more and more harsh or unhinged moving forward. That was actually ridiculously toned down considering what I was expecting him to do. But can we just please not provide cover for our leaders when they make mistakes like this? That was a terrible mistake that Biden made. It should not be justified. Again, if you're a private citizen and you have your personal views about the Republican electorate, that's on you and that's your business. You have not taken an oath to represent the country. You're not the president of the United States. And I don't know why anyone would think it's a good idea to celebrate or applaud political culture in this country that allows for the president to just regularly trash tens of millions of people that he himself is supposed to be representing. That is not a good culture to set. And things will just continue devolving. I don't think that this is a winning thing to do. I'm not proud of what Biden did. And honestly, the thing that frustrates me even more is that after he made those statements, even though he was on video making those statements, a bunch of people are totally gaslighting about how it didn't happen. It's totally made up. It's fake. It's a scary world that we're currently living in, where a lot of people, a lot of voters, a lot of people in the media, just not based in, their views are not based in reality at all. And they would rather lie to people in order to cover up a mistake or a terrible act of an individual in a position of power. I don't even recognize what's happened to the Democratic Party anymore, to be honest.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about more of the fallout that the mainstream liberal media is desperately trying to move on from due to the fact that Joe Biden said that Trump supporters are garbage, okay? He called half the country garbage. 70 plus million people who voted for Trump and probably more who support Trump, but unfortunately didn't vote for him for whatever reason, right? So we're talking about, who knows, probably at least 100 million, 200 million people, right, said they're garbage, okay, for supporting the former president. Now, you have some honest actors in the media, like, for example, Anna Kasparian, who is coming out and calling out the liberal media and Democrats and liberals for essentially lying about what Biden said, trying to pretend as if he didn't say what he said. And then you also have some people celebrating what he said, basically saying, well, yeah, they are garbage, right? We mean that, okay? Hey, Biden was right, okay? And then he should say things like that, while at the same time, these are the same people who boo-hoo, whine, and cry about everything that Trump says, even though it is being taken out of context, right? These are the same people who are trying to excuse and cover up what Biden said, okay? And the liberal media is continuing to do so, okay? Because we all know what the excuse is from the media, right? Either they're just flat out saying that he didn't actually say that, or they're trying to say, well, he said that, but you don't understand. You didn't hear the apostrophe, right? There was an apostrophe S in there. That is the excuse that they are using again, and this is why they're continuing to defend Biden's comments while trying to desperately pivot back to the comedian's joke or some comment that Trump said out of context. Take a look.
The hypocrisy, Mika, over a misstatement by Joe Biden, which he quickly corrected, is so laughable, because this guy does this every day. And then you turn on Fox News and go, oh, how could anybody do this? I've never seen this before from a president. Despite the fact, one of the people saying that yesterday on Fox News stood by while Donald Trump watched violence erupt on January the 6th and kept allowing violence to erupt on January the 6th, and said the people that were beating the hell out of cops were patriots. So yes, Willie, the gaslighting never ends. They really do think that their voters are that stupid. And it makes me sad for those voters that Donald Trump and people on TV, on other channels, really think Americans are that dumb.
Yeah, and let's not forget, Donald Trump has spent the last couple of weeks calling the entire country a garbage can.
This week marks a huge mistake for Donald. So MSNBC is a propaganda arm of the Democratic Party. And that guy, Joe Scarborough, that was just speaking in a little bit back there, he's supposed to be a Republican. He's a rhino, Republican in name only. And the one thing you must remember is that anytime Democrats are saying things, they are the party of projection. It is what, when they accuse Donald Trump, Republicans, anybody else of doing something, it is 100% of what they're doing. For example, they said when Donald Trump becomes president again, he's going to use the Department of Justice to go after his political opponents. The projection angle to this is, how many times has Donald Trump been indicted on something or another that was by Democratic appointed district attorneys and Democrat appointed judges and things of that nature? There's example after example after example, but it's like almost 100% of the time when Democrats are accusing somebody else, Donald Trump in particular, of doing something, it's almost 100% of the time what they're doing. They're projecting. So anytime you listen to Democrats, please try to keep that in mind.
Trump in a community within the Latino world that he desperately needs.
Yeah, the question
would you say
is,
that as far as surrogates go this week, it was a bigger problem for a comedian that most people have never heard of, or was it a bigger problem for Joe Biden as a surrogate to call half the country garbage, or even a bigger problem today for Mark Cuban to insult women voters who were thinking of voting Republican? Of those three surrogate issues, which would you say, Biden and Cuban, or this guy, I can't even remember his name?
The one difference in that is the reaction to it. I see your point, Scott, and we obviously talked about Biden's.
And something that I've been noticing over the past few days is that Republicans don't usually, Democrats are more, when something is said, what they do is end up misconstruing it or playing just a snippet of what somebody said and totally blowing it out of proportion. Now, Republicans usually don't react to something ridiculous, not in a, as a whole. You may have a few Republicans here and there say something about it, but for the most part, Republicans don't really react. But what I've noticed in the last few days, probably week leading up to the election, which is at this point is in 4 days from now, they're doing kind of what the Democrats do, except they're doing it in a truthful manner. They take anything that the Democrats have said and they just take it and they're blowing it up. And every prominent Republican that has any platform whatsoever is speaking about it. Now, in the past, they didn't used to do that. Now, with these type of things, I hope they continue to do it so the Democrats can maybe one day realize how ridiculous they look and sound when they're blowing these things out of proportion. The thing about the Democrats, though, is that they just be lying about this stuff. And then, for example, with the Charlottesville thing, Trump said there's good people on both sides when that thing happened. And he specifically said out of his mouth, I saw it, I heard it, replayed it, and make sure it wasn't AI. He said, except for the Nazis and the white supremacists. He said that, but what do the Democrats do? They only take, there's good people on both sides. That's an example of what they do.
Mark here. We're going to talk about Mark Cuban's comment in a moment. But Biden came out immediately to clarify that. Mark Cuban came out today to talk about his. Donald Trump has just claimed he didn't know who the comedian was.
I'm sure he doesn't. A and B.
But he's still at his rally.
The campaign had a statement out before Donald Trump ever even took the stage. They dealt with it immediately.
No, that statement came out after the rally was over. I know because I was at Madison Square Garden for 8 hours on Sunday.
Again, the campaign is not the candidate. The candidate could have persuaded and spoken against this, and he has not.
Then you must agree that it's been kind of weird for the Kamala Harris's campaign through anonymous statements from staffers to change all of her positions on every issue then?
Wait, Scott, just come back
She
to
is
this.
not going to change
You
her
had a guy on the stage
she
at
did.
Madison Square Garden, the most prominent arena in the country.
How much freaking makeup does she have on? She got makeup on. Oh my goodness, I know they put makeup right here too, but she don't even look like a real person.
Country, insult the Puerto Rican people.
Joe Biden insulted half the country.
Excuse me,
Mark
just-
Cuban insulted
but
half.
that's a great
the other half of the
redirection.
country.
I want to ask you this:
Are there more
He
Puerto Ricans or more women?
he
Joe Biden's
insulted
also
the
not
Puerto Rican
running.
people, and
Neither is
Trump,
this comedian.
Trump took a pass on it.
I'm sorry,
Now, you're a former campaign manager. You would never let that happen, would you? Would you?
Look, number one, this pre-program was not helpful. I've said that numerous times. Number two, the fact that you all want to turn this campaign into something about an idiot comedian and want to ignore the clear bumbling stupidity of the president and Mark Cuban, to me, speaks
No, we're
volumes
asking
about
why Donald Trump.
Yeah, we got to pray for our guy, Scott Jennings, okay? Because I'm cheering him on in regards to the impossible task of actually having some sane commentary on CNN, right? That's not just overt Democrat Party propaganda. Because the point that he's making there is that you guys are harping on a comedian making a joke at a rally, but you don't seem to care about Joe Biden calling half the country garbage. Or Mark Cuban, who's an official surrogate for Kamala Harris. He's a Kamala Harris campaign mouthpiece, going on The View and stating that Trump has never surrounded himself with women that are intelligent or strong, right? Basically calling any woman that Trump has been around dumb and weak, right? This is what Mark Cuban said. Now, if a Republican surrogate, if a Trump surrogate said that about Democrat Party women, we all know that these people will be losing their mind. They'd be boohoo, whining, crying, sexism, bigotry, hate, misogyny. But when it comes to Mark Cuban, he gets a pass, right? But a comedian, though, a comedian making a joke, oh man, it's the worst thing ever, right? Biden calling Trump supporters garbage. Oh, well, you know, you got to understand there's an apostrophe S there, okay? You know, he didn't really say that, blah, 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 right? They make every excuse in the world.
On the garbage comment, the transcript sent by the White House has it as possessive and not plural. The statement, the only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters, apostrophe S. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable and it's un-American. It's totally contrary to everything we've done, everything that we've been. Some debate over there since yesterday.
They're actually doing this. I saw the man say what he said, but they putting out statements and tweets and all of these type of things. Well, it lets you know that they know he fucked up. If he stood on what he stood on, you don't have to put out statements and tweets and corrections and things of that nature. It's amazing.
Today about whether it was plural or possessive.
Plural or possessive.
The caller's point of what he said.
Yeah, and I, you know, as a conservative lawyer, I am a textualist, and you have to, part of the ruling way you examine a text is you look at the entire sentence.
Psychopath Political
and the entire
Action
sentence makes it makes sense that there is a possessive there. When we speak, we do not say apostrophe, although Donald Trump has shown that he doesn't know what.
So this guy is the president of the Anti-Psychopath Political Action Committee. All right. Anti-psychopath? Aren't we all anti-psychopathic? All right. You know.
What an apostrophe is, by the way.
People can see the hypocrisy of the media on full display, right? It has never been more clear than what we're seeing right now in the media. Okay, it's never been more clear. So with that being said, this scandal involving Biden and his garbage comment about Trump supporters is getting worse, because now it is being revealed that the White House has actually altered the transcript of the Biden comment. Remember, the excuse that these people came out with for what Biden said was that, well, again, there's an apostrophe S there. Read the transcript, right? This is what the transcript from the White House says. Now, this is a problem because the White House actually edited that transcript, despite the fact that the stenographers, the people whose job is to actually transcribe what the president said, they interpret it differently than what the White House had put out there. This is what they said. According to the stenographers, Biden said, quote, "The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters," okay, without an apostrophe, okay, which would imply that he's talking about Trump supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable and it's un-American. Okay, so the transcript released by the White House threw an apostrophe S in there. So again, the people whose job it is to actually transcribe what Biden said, interpret it the same way that essentially most of the country interpreted it, and they are now calling out the White House for ducking protocol and editing the transcript and putting out there for the mainstream media to run propaganda without actually going through the official steps that you're supposed to take before releasing a transcript like that. Because again, it's not the White House's job to interpret what Biden said, to transcribe what he said, but they did it anyways. They edited the official transcript in order to, again, try to cover up for what everybody knows Biden said. Take a look.
And we have a story about White House stenographers. First time this whole cycle. The White House stenographers come with the House. They are not political. Some of them have been there since Trump and will be there after Biden. And they are now as mad as you will ever hear a stenographer on the record that White House officials working for President Biden tried to change the meaning of their transcript. So it sounded like the president on that Zoom with Voto Latino was just criticizing a comedian instead of all Trump supporters. So now we've got a supervisor from the stenographer's office who is saying, "Our stenography office transcript released to our distro, which includes the National Archives, is now different than the version edited and released to the public by press office staff." And Amy Sands, the director of that department, continued, "Please avoid sharing rush drafts and excerpts, which are subject to review and might create confusion among staff, media, and the public while our stenography office completes a thorough review process." The White House is not explaining what exactly happened here, just to say the president confirmed in his tweet on Tuesday evening that he was addressing the hateful rhetoric from the comedian at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally. That was reflected in the transcript. And they're getting some help keeping MSG top of mind from J-Lo.
At Madison Square Garden, he reminded us who he really is and how he really feels.
Holy plastic surgery. Look at her cheeks. Look at this. She didn't have some stuff done here, here. She have a real strong jawline. She didn't have some stuff done here. She didn't have some stuff done here. She didn't have some skin. Well, actually, she might not have the skin done. That's why she got this pulled all the way up. Never seen a shirt like that. That's not a turtleneck. But wow, look at this. This is prominent plastic surgery right here. Not very good either.
It wasn't just Puerto Ricans that were offended that day, okay? It was every Latino in this country. It was humanity and anyone of decent character.
Every Latino in this country.
The Harris campaign keeps losing control of news cycles because of this garbage comment and the cleanup, and White House staff apparently trying to change the meaning of something that everybody who has watched the clip could hear with their own ears. It is looking like this is becoming a case, a classic DC case of the cover-up being worse than the crime, and the crime was pretty politically bad. Back to you.
And Peter, just to underline, you do think this is as angry as the stenographers have been ever
I know, it's so
in the White House? Would you back that up? Do you have a second source?
Fox confirms the stenographers, you never hear them say anything. They're always just sitting like 2 feet away from the president with a long microphone and a recorder. And now they're going on the record. And also, the stenographer's office apparently has a leak.
When the stenographers go on the record, who types it?
We're picturing the grandmother like angrier than she's ever been.
They're probably just all in a line. Right, they're probably all in a line. There is a stenographer next to the stenographer with a mic to make sure that they got it right. They'll all check their notes. But this is a serious issue.
It is.
And
Peter,
we've all seen over the last couple of years when it comes to White House staff giving stuff to the National Archives, they want to have everything, and it has to be exactly.
You know, it's a bunch of bullshit when the stenographers are upset. This is just silly, but yeah, that's gonna be the end of this video. The bottom line with Democrats is that they know they fucked up with Joe Biden. That's why you got stenographers coming out. You got them putting out tweets trying to correct it. You got them talking about apostrophes and all this type of stuff when he called half of the country garbage because they support Donald Trump. And Joe Biden should just go away because he's not helping at all. But he pissed. He pissed because of the coup that they did on him. And then they inserted her. And then Joe Biden meets up with Obama and talks bad about her. He can't stand that lady. Even before this, he couldn't stand that lady. He didn't pick her because of her credentials or anything else. He picked her because there was a strong lobbying group, which included a lot of black women. They told Joe, if you don't pick a woman of color, it's gonna be bad for you. So he picked not a black woman. He picked the Indian Hindu woman. But again, black folks like symbolism, and I guess that was just good enough because they are proving that symbolism is a thing, and you actually have people that are gonna vote for her just because she is a woman of color. And by the way, what's so different from back in the 60s and before that and after that? They used to call black folks colored people. What? A person of color? How is that any different than a colored person that they used to? That's the vernacular that they used to speak with back in the day. I don't know, but apparently it's accepted.